Assalamu alaikum, dear listeners. Welcome back to the third episode of USIC Podcasts, talking about fitting in on the university campus.
I think it's been an apparent accidental theme about how good the society around us is, even if we don't actively think about it or look into it, because we've probably had a ton of examples now. But I don't know if we've spoken about then how do we stay friends with these people without getting drawn into non-Islamic stuff. So do you guys have any advice in that sense?
I think it's knowing your limits. With me, the way that I deal with it is I think that each Muslim should have a standard of friends that you aim to be around. And if people don't meet that standard, you don't treat them lesser or anything, but in your own mind, you should kind of split the people up into small groups in your mind. So for example, with my non-Muslim friends, in terms of my interaction with them, I'm friendly with them. I'll go for a coffee with them. I'm in class with them. But other than that, I don't go beyond that, because that is my limit. Because I know that I don't want to put myself, going back to what we said at the beginning, I don't want to put myself in a situation where my deen is going to be challenged. Whereas my Muslim friends, I try my best to spend more time with them. And obviously you can switch around and hang out with whoever you want at the end of the day. But that's what I do in my own mind, is when it comes to non-Muslims, befriend them, be kind to them, treat them as a close friend, but don't trust them to the point where you will take everything they say and everything they do as an example or a role model in any way. So know your limits, essentially. And I think, like I said, like what we said at the beginning, it's know that as long as you're not challenging your deen, you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're going to challenge your deen, then you're in a safe space, I think. But yeah, that's what I've got, at least in my head at the minute.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think that if you're going to draw the line, you need to commit to it, because if you don't, then in the future, you're going to keep conceding and you're going to keep taking that line further and further back. I remember I had one classmate from my course. He was non-Muslim. We would study together and do stuff like that. But whenever we'd be in the lower part of the students' union, next to bar one, he'd tell me, "Come, let's go to bar one. Let's just play some pool." And I'd be like, "Nah, bro, I can't." And he'd be standing at the stairs, literally. It was like a drama or something. He'd be like, "Just come downstairs." I'd be like, "Nah, bro, I can't come downstairs." If you're gonna draw that line, make sure you stay committed to it, at the very least. If you move it back once, you're gonna move it back twice, and if you keep moving it back, you're just gonna cause problems for yourself. May Allah make things easy.
I think start small as well. Don't go in thinking, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, I'm not going to do it, especially if you are already doing it. Just be realistic and understand that it's all based on your intention and Allah's guidance as well. So like I said in my case, for example, when I first came in, I wasn't befriending Muslim people really, and I was just kind of chilling. I was going out with my non-Muslim friends. Even if they wouldn't drink, even if they were drinking or were in an area where it was easy for them to drink, I'd just be like, I'm not drinking. But then later on, I was like, is me putting myself in that situation good for me? Because I can't lie, I can't say that you're never curious, or you're like, oh my God, what would it be if I just tried it one time? Because Shaitan does give you those whispering. So it's like, you just start. Today, I'm like, okay, I'm going to stop going to these places with them. And after you feel like you've conquered that, you can add something else to it and just start to build it up slowly. And then that makes it easy. And it does what Anna said about you drawing a line properly. Because once you start to be like, oh, I'll just leave it for today then. And the more they see you start to kind of let down your guard because of them, I feel like you're not taken as seriously anymore. And they just feel like they've got that strength over you. So all they have to do is keep applying a bit more pressure, and then they'll get you. Not to make them sound like a villain, but you get what I mean.
Yeah, I think for me as well, with I wasn't in the same boat as Armani. I was actually really good friends with my flatmates, and I hung out with them a lot. We played for the same football team and things like that. And at the start, when I told them I didn't drink, they respected it completely. They didn't ask me to or anything. And then eventually, as we became like closer friends, he'd be like, come with us to the pub. You won't drink or anything like that. But they wanted to like hang out with me at the pub. And I kind of had this hard limit. I was like, I'm not going to hang out with you if you're drinking, full stop. I'm not going to go into any place like that, full stop. And they even said like, we'll go to the pub, but we won't drink anything. All of us will drink water. I was like, no, because once you kind of put your foot in the door, you don't know what will happen. And like, I knew I could trust these guys because I was having conversations with a couple of them, and they said if you try to drink, like for any reason, we wouldn't let you. They said we'll literally take it off your hand if you try to drink, and I genuinely believed them. But then I still didn't want to put myself in that situation, because even if I went to the pub with them and it was all fine, I could go with another group and it'll be different, or I could go like 5 years later and it'd be different. So I think it's good to have like a hard boundary of something you're not going to do no matter what.
I'd say as well on that point, like even students that are just coming in, like freshers coming in, that maybe haven't necessarily set those boundaries for themselves yet because they're just not aware of kind of what goes on. Like you guys have said several times, they might just be like, oh, I'll have a go at this, and then actually realised in hindsight that it's like what effect it's had on them essentially. So I think one good thing is if you're in that situation, then think, obviously like you guys said, taking those steps day by day kind of to change it, but then also reflecting on kind of what your life was like. So reflecting on the situations where you decided, okay, that's fine, I'll go with you, but I'll not drink, or I'll do this or that. Just think about what you were like then and what you're like now, and just kind of realize how valuable that is, and that you don't want to kind of fall back into that again. So if you have that in your mind, that kind of forms your barrier in a way, because you're almost so allergic to being that person again that you like, if you take that tiny steps, then you might end up like that again, or even close to it. So I think, yeah, just having that kind of reflection, if you found yourself in that situation, or if you're a fresher and you don't know what boundaries you should have, or what boundaries you do have, just having that kind of reflection there, I think, is quite nice.
Yeah, you should not overestimate your taqwa, your consciousness of Allah, like you said. So even when it comes to making those boundaries, it's very easy to think that I'm strong, I won't go near that, but you never know. There's also stories, one of them is too long, so I'm not going to go into it, but the story of Barasisa, he was like a very pious person, and slowly, he went from not letting a woman into his house to prostrating to shaitan. I know it's a huge step, but if you read the story properly, there's many footsteps in between. And that's what Allah warns us of in the Quran, khutwat shaitan, the footsteps of shaitan. If you overestimate your consciousness of Allah and think you're going to be okay, I'll just sit in the pub, I'll just drink water with them. You can never feel too safe. You should always make sure that you're protecting yourself.
And I think it's important to point out as well, if you have done any of those things, it's not like, all right, you've done it already, you can't go back now. Because I'm not going to say who, but one of the guys I really look up to in terms of his iman and his deen, like I know he's been clubbing before, he's been to the pub a lot and stuff like that. And it's about kind of not giving up on yourself and thinking, all right, I'm too far gone, or I've already been with these people and they know I go, so it'll be weird if I don't go anymore. I think it's still important to like realize that Allah will forgive you, inshallah, and you kind of have to keep working on it and not just like give up on yourself. And don't think just because we're saying, oh, I've never been to a pub, so I'm good, that like you can't. I kind of lost my train of thought, but I think
No.
I hopefully
Yeah,
made
definitely.
my point.
Yeah, about that point about giving up on yourself, you can also extend it to the mercy of Allah. The mercy of Allah is so great that it's haram for us to give up on the mercy of Allah. It says it in the Quran as well. So any sin that you commit, as long as you do not die upon it and you ask for forgiveness sincerely, then by the will of Allah, you'll be forgiven. So you always have to make sure that you're not giving up on that mercy of Allah and leave the past in the past. What's done is done. Just look to the future and make sure that you're setting the right boundaries and doing the right things, inshallah. But yeah, that's what I have to say.
And those sins are also turned into good deeds. So you're kind of on top of where you started with as well.
Alhamdulillah.
And I just wanted to add on is that just as easily as you can turn away, it's just as easy to come back. Those baby steps that you took away can be retraced and you can come back. So, and I think that it is really important to specify the importance of baby steps, because a lot of Muslims I've seen will jump from A to Z, straight from the letter A to the letter Z without going through all the other letters. And they fall. And when they fall hard. And they really struggle to come back to the deen then. So if you are someone out there, and we've all got our own struggles, and we don't have to mention them in this podcast, but every single person has got a struggle that either they're not proud of, or they've made a mistake that they look back and just regret, or whatever it may be. But as the others have already said, to look to the future, but also look to the future in baby steps. Look at it as, what can I do now, rather than procrastinating? Because a lot of Muslims make the mistake of, oh, I'm going to wait until I'm older to correct. I'm going to wait until I'm this to correct, whatever it is. You're not even guaranteed the next second, yet alone the next day or the next year or whatever it is, as morbid as that is to think of. But think of it in baby steps, and I promise it will get easier. And if you think of it in baby steps, it's more achievable. If you think, right, okay, today I'm going to do this. And then you take each day as they come, and you can plan as if, and this is a phrase that my dad told me, plan as if, live each day as if you're going to die today, but plan as if you're going to live forever. And that is the key. So live each day as if it's your last, be the best you can possibly be. And you're going to have to take baby steps to be the best that you can be, but then plan as if you're going to live forever. So then if you do want to think about what you're going to be like in a year, 2 years, 3 years, that's fine, as long as you've got baby steps along the way that are achievable. So by the time, like Lena said, when you look back, you compare yourself to who you were yesterday, last week, the last month, the last year, you can see a real change. And it's because of those baby steps. So I think that's a really important thing for every Muslim to understand, no matter where you are on your journey, is baby steps are huge steps. They're bigger than you think. And they take you a lot further along your journey than you realize.
Yeah, of course. Those baby steps are very important because there's something you can implement today. If you make the project seem too big, you're going to leave it for later. And the thing with that is that you're only going to get busier as you get older. When you're a child, that's when you have the most free time. But then when you're studying, you're like, I need to focus on my studies. And then from your 20s to 30s, you're like, I need to get married. And then after that, you're like, I need to have kids. And then when you're having kids, you're like, I want them to do well in their studies. And then as soon as they grow older, you're already old enough to worry about your own health. And you're only going to get busier, and your health's only going to get worse as you get older. So that's why baby steps are so important. So you can implement it today and do it slowly every day.
Yeah, I think there's a beautiful story about kind of those baby steps. And someone correct me if I'm saying anything wrong. But there was a story about a man who had killed 99 people, and he was wondering, is there any way for me to redeem myself? Can I have any redemption? And he was looking for a sheikh. That people led him to him, and he went, and the sheikh told him, no, you're going to hellfire. You're gonna, like, it's inevitable. There's no way back for you. So he ended up killing that sheikh, and he killed 100 people. And then someone told him about someone else in like a faraway land that he could go to, and maybe he could help him. And on his way there, he ended up dying, and the angels were trying to decide whether they should like take him to the like hellfire or heaven. And they thought, all right, the way we'll do it, since he's on the path to redemption, is that we'll see how far, like if he's closer to the old place where he just killed the person, or to the new place where he might go get redemption, inshallah. And he was just about closer to the old city, and then a strong gust of wind blew and like carried his body over, and it kind of put him over the line into like a distance that was closer to the new city. And that just shows that if you're like on the right path, inshallah, you can get forgiveness, even if you haven't done anything yet, but you have the right intentions and you start getting on that right path and like taking it one day at a time, then like inshallah you'll find yourself at the right place at the end.
Yeah, Jazakallah khair for that, Muad. Lovely story. So I think we're nearing the end now. Thank you all for your discussions. I just wanted to leave you with a ayah from the Quran that I really like, since we've been discussing kind of dawah and things like that, and going out as a Muslim in kind of the uni environment, and wanting to give as much dawah as possible, whether that be through your actions or talking to people directly and seeking those opportunities. So it's from Surah Al-Qasas, ayah 24, where Allah says, Musa said, Rabbi inni lima anzalta ilayya min khayrin faqir, which essentially translates to, my Lord, indeed I am for any good that you bestow upon me very needy. So that was after Musa alayhi salam had actually killed a man, and he was essentially fleeing, and he realized that he'd done something wrong, and it's from Shaitan, and he was looking for any good deed that he could do. So that's a nice kind of verse that I like to remind myself of when you're going out to uni. Obviously, you're going to seek knowledge, you're going to do all your courses and things like that, and speak to your friends and everything. But I think that's quite a nice dua to have there, that any opportunity that comes along, whether it be dawah or anything else, that you're kind of honoured by having that opportunity to do dawah. So Jazakumullah khair, guys, for listening. Look out for our next podcast, where we'll be talking about seeking knowledge and the effects of secular or Western education on our thinking. Is seeking a degree at university seeking worldly gain? So Jazakumullah khair.
Jazakumullah khair.
Thank you for listening to us drone on for an hour.
Hopefully you enjoyed it and can pick up some good tips from there, inshallah.
Inshallah. Yep. And just a quick reminder to all our members, you can get a 10% discount at unit.
Go get burgers.
Go get those burgers.
Yes. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.